Perhaps you've noticed in the background of some of my videos a big power plant. That's Big Bend Power Station, and it provides electricity to West Central Florida. And today I took my car right to the base of it. Those towers up there are releasing the byproduct of coal that's burnt to turn the little doohickeys in there that make all the electricity. The plant opened in 1970, and the last of these 4 towers was built in 1985. Many efforts have been made since then to help clean the emissions that come out of those big ugly stacks. Now the power plant uses the water from Tampa Bay to cool the engines in there, and then it's superheated and dumped back into the bay, and that attracts manatees. The folks in charge of the power plant built a manatee viewing center. There are a couple of boardwalks for you to walk on to help see the manatee, and along the way you can see lots of statues and paintings and artwork, all dedicated to manatee. I kind of like this one myself. A lot of effort was put into this, which is a good thing. Manatee are good creatures. Under the shadow of those 4 towers right there is the first of many boardwalks that I visited today. I like the entrance here. You can see there's a spotted sea trout, and there's some artwork showing redfish. I definitely like that. Most people know this place because it is a manatee viewing center, and they expect to see just manatees. But as a guy who fishes Tampa Bay, I know that that warm water discharge from this plant is going to attract all kinds of fish. Check that out. Those are jack crevalles, like this, which I think is my personal best. Except the ones that are swimming around the plant are all giant compared to that. And there's hundreds of them. Look at that. You can see them here a little closer, swimming right underneath the docks. Those are all very big jack crevalle. Man, sure makes a guy want to fish that spot, I tell you what. But all the waters around the power plant are restricted. This is a safe haven for those fish, including these tarpon that you see right here. That's right, those are tarpon. There's a couple snook mixed in there too, but those are little silver king. There's one there just kind of floating along. It's like they know they're safe there. There's no fear. Silver king are pretty awesome fish. I've hooked a couple once or twice, but this is probably the closest I've ever seen them. Like I said, fishermen here in Tampa Bay are probably going to have their eyes on those fish, like this sheep's head right here. There's a lot of big sheep's head around there too. But of course the main attraction and what brings people here are the manatee. And if you look out there a little bit towards the bay, you'll see them. Even early winter, and with the warm winter we're having, you can see them. They're starting to show up. Usually you only see their backs coming out of the water, occasionally a tail sticking up. Sometimes they'll put their nose up out of the water, and very rarely they'll just jump out of the water. Not fully, but they'll stick their heads up out like that. When it starts getting cold, there'll be lots of them out there. Meanwhile, up here on the docks, you can see people giving seminars on what the bones look like and what their habitat is like. There are plenty of people out here that will give you plenty of education about the adorable, lovable manatee. Pretty good place for kids too, I think. They have an educational building inside where you can see the skeletons up close, and you can learn about the ecosystem and the birds and the trees and all the cool stuff that you see around Tampa Bay. Big Bend Power Station, I think, has put some pretty good efforts into making this little manatee viewing center, and the cost is free. I think it makes for a nice little day trip to bring, your friends or your family down here and just have a look around. Well, if this educational center and the other boardwalk were like the front yard, this Manatee viewing center had a backyard too. You just walk along this fence here, along this long boardwalk, and you can see the place from a different perspective. I usually see him from a kayak, and the smoke coming out of the stacks tells me which way the wind is going. A little bit further down this long boardwalk, I saw a familiar sight. Under this canopy, I saw what looked like a mangrove tunnel. I've been down there on a kayak before. I had to refrain from grabbing the little tree crabs that I saw crawling around. Not like it mattered. I didn't have rods and reels and, so there was no reason to have bait. I still had to check myself. Looking over the side of the fence on this long straight boardwalk, you could see all kinds of fish. Mostly little schools of mullet hanging out. But there's a nice little tarpon just floating along like he doesn't have a care in the world. I wish I would see that from the kayak more often. Anyways, after I was done on that boardwalk, I went and checked out the nature trail. The very backyard of this Manatee viewing center has a long nature trail. The sign indicates that it's just under a mile, the entire loop. And along the way you get to see all kinds of cool stuff that grows right here in our backyard in Tampa, Florida. And maybe it's because I spend so much of my time looking through the lens of a camera, but even small stuff like this grass and little butterflies and birds and trees. I'm really fascinated by them, and they're everywhere. I think most of the time stuff like this gets overlooked. There really is beauty all over the place. A lot of times it's right under your nose. Well, around this corner over here, there was a perch up in the trees. It's going to help me get a better bird's eye view. Just had another boardwalk to go down. This boardwalk passed through a mangrove forest. Who knows what kind of creatures were lurking out there as I walked past. And here's the tower. It's a pretty impressive structure. My first impression was that it would make a pretty cool treehouse. Once I got up to the top, I got a really good view of things that I see usually on a normal basis, but from sea level. I got a bird's eye view of the mangrove forest. And down below me, I was able to spy a couple of fish. And when I zoomed in, I could see that they were just mullet. But I also saw a snook swimming around out there. Look at that contrast, huh? Compared to the sandy bottom. It's absolutely beautiful looking at things from up here. Well, it was time to head back down the stairs. I was going to take the trail back to my car, and that would be that for today. Not a bad trip. Bye! On the way back, I got to appreciate all the little things all over again. Do you know what your state tree is? How about the plants that you see every day? Maybe I just appreciate these things because I came from New York where there wasn't as many trees around. I'm talking like the 5 boroughs, not upstate. I moved to Florida in December of 2000, and I still haven't lost my wonder. The little lizards and trees and bushes and things you see here that you don't see up north. Not to mention all the fishing that I do. Consider myself a pretty lucky guy. Part of that has to do with the fact that I appreciate all the things around me. I gotta say, that was pretty pleasant. Go for a little hike, look at some of the natural plants and trees and stuff, and all in the shadow of that big mess right there. But all in all, it was a pretty fun trip. I'm glad I made it out here, and the cost is definitely worth it. I suggest you try it. Thanks for coming along with me. Doing things like making electricity is a necessary evil of having a society. So it's nice to see that TECO, which is Tampa's electric company, gave a little bit back and made this viewing center for us. If you live close by, I suggest checking it out.